So, you're a beginner or novice bowyer. What do? Do you wait for that dream stave, like this wonderful piece of Canadian Pacific yew, or do you just crack on with something like this, a wonky piece of hawthorn? And as you can see, today I've chosen my wonky stave of hawthorn. It's a continuation of my exploration of the bowwoods that can be found in the English hedgerow. They might not be premier bowwoods, but they certainly are fascinating and testing. And by the way, if you're new here and interested in joining me on my journey as I self-learn the art and the skill of the bowyer, please do consider subscribing. Hit the bell button below for notification of my next upload. It'd be great to have you along. Anyway, thanks for watching, and here comes the video, the hedgerow bow. So here it is, my hawthorn bow stave, now taken down to bow dimensions and almost ready for bending. And I can already hear you asking, why didn't I choose a straight bit? And the answer to that is, for hawthorn, this is a pretty straight bit. You see, hawthorn is one of the spiky inhabitants of the English hedgerow. It grows close to its neighbours and fights all its life for light, twisting, contorting, leaning. In the end, there's hardly any hawthorn that grows straight, and those that do are cut or flayed during the management of hedgerows. So this is about the straightest bit I could find. So as a beginner or a novice bowyer, is it really worth spending time working hard on a wonky piece of wood like this? Wouldn't I be better off spending my hours working on a lovely piece of straight hazel like that up there? For me, these things are challenges, they're tests, they're an apprenticeship. If I can make this bend, then I can make that bend even better. So for me, working on a wonky bow is really, really worthwhile. But this particular one does have some special problems, and here they are. Look, for example, at this knot, which is already cracked, probably due to me drying the stave rather quickly. And then there's this. This might already be the death of this hawthorn bow. It's a rotten piece, and in fact, it goes all the way through. That may spell the end of this bow. But it's still worth a try. Maybe, just maybe, I can get it to bend. And that's not the end of it. Even if this bow doesn't break, tillering it will be a great problem for me. Let me show you why. So here it is on the tillering stick, and look at that left limb. Look how it dips. It's more obvious when I bend it. Let me show you. And here it is now on a loose string, drawn a little to create a slight bend in the bow. And just look at that limb. That will, for me, be a difficult limb to tiller. But there really is only one way for me to learn how to tiller bows like this. And that's just to get on with it. English weather. So these are the first tillering bends of this hawthorn bow. It's really wonky, looks to me looks like it's going to be difficult to tell. But here goes. First pulls. As you can see, that dip in the left limb makes this Hawthorn bow look really weird. So although it's wonky, this is what I'm seeing. This is the right limb as you've been watching it. And it seems really, really stiff along this section here. Let's have a look at this side. So this is the left hand limb as you've been looking at it. This is the one with the dip just here. But what I'm seeing here also is stiffness in this section here, and also very much so at the tip beyond the dip. Let's do some work. So it's back to the tiller, but not before. I tighten the string just a little, increasing the brace height very, very slightly. Not much, just a tiny, tiny bit. So there it is, braced a little more. Let's have a look on the tiller. Looks really weird, doesn't it? I often wonder when I'm building a bow like this, whether tricky pieces of wood like this were given to bowyers' apprentices all those hundreds of years ago. Probably so. So, what are my first impressions of hawthorn as a bow wood? Well, it's certainly a nice wood to work, and it's got a lovely sort of understated grain which I think will come out when it's oiled. It's quite attractive, but this particular piece already feels sort of spongy and soft. It's never wanted to be anything other than a really light snaky bow. I just can't see this getting to even 40 pound draw weight. But in the end, if I can make it bend, and make it bend as far as I want it to bend, then it'll be a lesson learned for me. Maybe a thicker, stronger, more mature piece of hawthorn might just make a great bow. But so far, hawthorn hasn't given me the impression that the wood of its hedgerow companion blackthorn gives me. Now this stuff is astonishing. It hardly ever grows straight like hawthorn, but when it does, wow. Just look at these two, side by side. So all this put me to wondering, what did kids use centuries ago when the bow was a weapon of war, a means of defence, and a way to put food on the table? Did they learn in the fields and woods with something like this, something lightweight and snappy, something to take down a rabbit or a pigeon for the table? I'd like to think so. With all the knobbles and bumps on the back of this hawthorn bow, it's almost impossible to gauge the thickness as I taper towards the tips. The only tools I find that are reliable in these circumstances are these fingers. they've got an amazing way of detecting the slightest deviation from what you hope and expect. Like here, as they roll over that knot, you can feel it swell and get thicker and then thin again. The difficulty is knowing to leave that extra thickness or to take it down some more. Only time will tell whether I gauge it right. This time, when I brace this bow, it'll be at about 6 inches full brace height. Or it'll break. Well, it's about ½ an inch off full brace height. But it's a start. Until a bow is braced, I never feel that I can really see its true shape. On this one, of course, that dip is still there and still a challenge. If both limbs look like that one over there, then I'd be quite pleased. But overall, it's generally a bow shape. Now comes the really hard and challenging bit. I've got to make it bend even further. So the bow is now braced at 6 inches, full brace height. And that left limb is still looking challenging. I'm drawing back to about 15 inches now. Slowly, but slowly. So that's this little Hawthorn bow at 6 inches brace height. Now drawing back to 24 inches. Just 3 inches to go to the 27-inch brace height that I'd like for this bow. Each time I remove wood, it's just this I'm using, coarse sandpaper, nothing else. It still looks wonky. This right hand tip has got that rotten section and I'm scared to make it too thin. And the left hand side has got that dip. It'll never ever look right. I've just got to do my best to make the shape seem about okay and to share all the stress across the entire bow if possible. So 3 inches more work to go. So that last pull got me back to 26 inches. 1 inch to go. I have to resign myself that this bow's never going to look absolutely perfect. There's that rotten tip and the dipped tip. Both contribute to a slightly wonky look. But if I can get it back another inch to 27 inches, I might just stop there. And then I'll have a hedgerow bow. So, that's my little hedgerow hawthorn bow. It proves to me that hawthorn can be a great bow wood. You just need a decent stave. This was certainly not one of those, but it's been a great practice piece for me. Really enjoyed it, and I've got a nice little garden bow out of it. And if you're an aspiring bowyer, don't ever be afraid to try woods that you think might not make a bow. Go get some. Cut it, shape it, bend it. You might just get another little hedgerow bow like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Woo!